Hi guys, welcome to another episode on Piscator UK. Well, you join me on a glorious summer's morning here in the Highlands of Scotland, and I'm back on the bank and I'm going to be fishing or targeting a species it's quite rare compared to where it can be caught in the UK. There's only certain places it can be caught, and one of them is here in Scotland, and that is the Arctic Char. So a bit of background on the Arctic Char. The Arctic Char, back in sort of Ice Age times, they were landlocked here in Scotland and other deep lakes in the UK, predominantly in the Lake District. So they were landlocked here and they've become residents here, and they're not known to migrate to spawn. They pretty much spawn within the local area of where their habitat is, i.e. the Loch. And one of the things I was looking for to target the Arctic Char is depth of water. They like deep lochs and cold water lochs. So very cold water and depth is what I'm looking for. Now obviously, if you go out to specifically target Arctic Char, then depth is what you're looking for, and it will be a bit of trial and error on a few venues that you go to find that depth. Or you could simply get something like the Navionics app, and that will give you the depths of the lochs and contours and features that you need, and basically you could plan your trip before you even step out the house. So you know, if you wanted to go down that route, it's certainly a good option in terms of being able to plan your trips in advance. And obviously if you've got Navionics, it's a superb tool for sea fishing as well. Anyway, I've just cast out with one rod. I've got two rods set up and I've just had one cast on each. So the tactics to catch Arctic Char, it couldn't get any more simple, guys. I'm fishing with red and white maggots, and I'm fishing with feeder rods and maggot feeders predominantly. As I said, really simple setups. I'll show you the rigs that I'm using in terms of the maggot feeder, how I'm attaching it, and the hook lengths and all that sort of thing as the session progresses. Although, you know, Arctic Char, as I say, they're quite rare, they do get caught as bycatch when fishing for brown trout, particularly in deep water when you're maybe lure fishing or deep water trawling for ferox trout, that sort of thing. So probably one of my bycatches will be catching today is probably brown trout, as they're going to be in that similar area, similar depth of water, and I need to get through those brown trout if they show up in order to catch the char. It's just part and parcel of, you know, trying to target Arctic Char. Predominantly you will catch brown trout, which is not a bad bycatch to catch, especially here in the Highlands. They're stunning coloured fish and just a real joy to catch. So the depth of water that I'm looking for is roughly 40 feet plus deep. And on my initial casts, I cast out with a bomb weight, 30 grams, and I had an 18-second count, which in my estimate is probably between 40 and 50 feet deep, maybe slightly over. So I think I'm in that depth of water. I'm quite confident I'm going to catch today. As I say, it's a beautiful summer's day here in the Highlands. I've got a wind blowing left to right. It's giving me a little bit of tow on the Loch, which is obviously taking the line to the right of my target, and I'm sort of compensating with that in my casting. I'm clipping up, making sure that I'm reaching my target all the time and that I'm concentrating the bait in a tight area, or as tight as I possibly can, in order to get maybe a better hook up once the fish start showing up. I think once the brown trout start feeding, you know, it's inevitable that Arctic Char usually follow it. It's not to say that it's guaranteed, there's no guarantees in fishing, but yeah, I'm really hopeful for the day, and it's just good to be back on the bank. Got a fish on, guys, on the long rod. Another nice brownie. Yeah, another stunning brownie. And yeah, that came out nice and easy. Stunning little brownie. Excellent. Get rebaited. Try again. That was on a long line, on the long rod. Second bite, first fish. As I've got the first rod in, I may as well go through the rig, what I'm using, and just a little bit on the setup actually. And as I said, it's really simple. I've got a 12.5 foot distance feeder rod, and this is the Matrix Aqueous, and I've got an 1.5 ounce tip in the rod. I've got a Preston 520 extremity reel, nice big reel, nice workhorse, and that's loaded with 18 pound, which is, I think it's 012 diameter, Guru Pulsate feeder line. It's an absolute fantastic line, and the reel just, you know, lays that line on in the reel, you know, superbly. Coming down from the braid, I've got a 15 pound fluorocarbon short rubbing leader, which is going to help protect the braid in the top eyes when casting. Coming down to a loop, and it's loop to loop connection onto my rig, and I've got a 12 pound fluorocarbon pound feeder rig. That goes down to a stop bead, then a quick chain swivel, and another stop speed onto a twizzled boom. And that twizzled boom has got a quick change snap swivel on it, and you can put that whether it's a method feeder. In this case, obviously, it's a maggot feeder. And this maggot feeder, 30 grams, get a nice bit of bait in there. I think the bait's coming out really quick, and I may tape it up a little bit just to get a bit of slower release of the maggots. I'll see how it goes. And I've got the same feeder on the other rod, but a slightly different setup. And from the quick change swivel, which is between the two stop beads that I've got roughly 80 centimetres of 020 fluorocarbon. The reason I like fluorocarbon when feeder fishing, particularly at distance, is because of the stiffness of the line. I just think it helps prevent tangles, and you should do everything in your power to try and stop that. This is known as the helicopter rig. So as you cast out, basically your hook length can spin round because it's got that quick chain swivel on it, preventing tangles. And also on the retrieve, if you've got maggots left, like I have in this case, the maggots will obviously spin up in the water, and that will travel through your hook length, but because you've got the quick chain swivel on, it helps prevent line twist. And that's simply going down on the end of my hook length to a size 16, and this is the Preston N30, size 16 N30. They have got a micro barb on it, which I've actually crushed. It has left a little bump, which I really like. Even though the barb's off it, it's got a little bump, and that just helps keep the maggots on, I think. Sometimes fishing in deep water, fishing barbless, the maggots can actually come off, wriggle off. And that's it. In its entirety, the rig, very simple. The long rod has obviously got the helicopter rig, and the shorter rod has got more of a free running rig, which I'll show you when I bring that in as well. And I'm just going to start off with four whites on the hook, nice and wriggly. And same again with the feeder. Excuse me. Top that up with white maggots. And there we go, ready to go. Another fish on, guys. I think it's a trout. Try trying desperately to keep the fish keep the rod up high, as there's quite a big ledge there. I've lost one rig already to the ledge. I think it's a little brown trout. And as I said, I'll probably have to get through these guys to get to the Arctic Char, but stunning little fish. That was good. Hook fell out in the net, always a bargain. Stunning brown trout. Get this guy back, and he's away safely. Get rebaited up, try again, keep the bait going in. Brilliant, that's two fish. I don't know if I got the first fish on camera actually, a little brown trout, and at the same time which was on the short rod, on the short line, and at the same time the long rod went, I got broke on the ledge. My braid broke just above where the leader was, so I've lengthened my leader, my fluorocarbon leader, rubbing leader on the long rod, and hopefully that will help with some abrasion resistance on that ledge. And yeah, just keep the bait going in. I think I'm going to have to get through these brown trout before the Arctic Char show up. Fingers crossed. Got another one on the small rod. I just cast out the big rod. The big rod's feeder's still not even sunk yet, and I've got this fish on. Another little brownie. Excellent. Quick show to the camera, get this guy back. Stunning little fish. Back safely. Plenty of power in it. Now guys, now that I've got the short rod in, as I'm rebaiting, I thought I'd just run through the rig on the short rod. As I said, it was slightly different. Slightly different rod as well. I'm fishing 11 foot, and this is Omni class feeder rod, Shakespeare. Cracking little rod for a budget rod, and I've got a little cheapo bait runner reel, 4000 size, and that's loaded with, I think that's fox braid, and that's £20 fox braid. Again, coming down to a little shock leader, fluorocarbon, about £15, onto a loop to loop connection, onto £12, or 22, something like that, or 22, 24, fluorocarbon leader body, rig body, and the rig body is probably about 1 metre long. Comes down to the feeder, which, as I said, it's more of a free running feeder, which is on a little sliding snap lock swivel, down to a stop bead, onto a twizzled boom about 4 inches long, and onto a loop. And that loop goes on to my hook length, which again is about 80 centimetres long, and again I'm fishing the size 16 Preston N30 microbarb, which has been crushed. And that's similar size feeder, in fact exactly the same size feeder, but 30 grams, more than enough. But this is my short rod. As I said, I'm probably 40 to 50 yards chuck with this, and it's in a little bit shallower water. Not much, but it's probably maybe, it's about the 40 feet mark I would say, and the longer broad's probably about 50 feet to 60 feet depth. Right guys, I've got both rods biting. Fish on this one. Try and keep the rod up high, just over the ledge. Fish is on the surface. Another little brownie, other rod's still going. Get this unhooked quickly. Hook's out. Try and get this other one landed at the same time. Still on. Oh, it's off. Get this little brownie released. Off. Stunning wee brownie. Beautiful colours. Fish on. As soon as it hit the bottom, guys. Cracking little trout. Get this guy back. Hey, Arctic Char. One absolute stunning fish. Target species, 9 brown trout and 1 stunning beautiful little char. Get this guy back. I've been fishing now for about 5 hours, or just under 5 hours. I've had 9 brown trout and the target species, which was Arctic Char. But I'm going to give it another few hours anyway. I'm still getting bites, and surprisingly the Arctic Char came on the shorter, shallower line. I say shallow, I mean I am in the 40 feet bracket, which is, you know, the sort of starting point in terms of depth that I would look for anyway. Most of the brown trout came on the short line. I've had 6 landed with the short rod. I've got a little bite just now. Yeah, 6 landed with a short rod on the short line, and yeah, that's a fish. And 3 on the long rod, and I lost 2 on the long rod, which when I actually got broke on the ledge. Overall, it's been a productive day, and I did expect to have to get through the brown trout first. And this is a not bad little brown trout. Biggest of the day. Oh, lovely fish. Again on the short line. This is touching the pound mark. Oh, perfect. It's always good to get them in the lip. Stunning brown trout. Immaculate condition. One last picture. Either way, brown trout number 10. Still got lots of time to go. Have an absolute brilliant day, guys. And the weather, what more could you ask for? Stunning example of a Scottish wild brown trout. thought that was a char. Its colour. That's another beautiful little brownie here in the Scottish Highlands. Absolutely stunning fish. We'll get this guy back. Lights fading. Well guys, the light's fading and I've had a really productive day. It's been a fantastic day here in the Scottish Highlands. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Been really busy. Went through 2.5 pints of maggots. Like I said, I was going to keep throwing the bait in the maggot feeders every 10-15 minutes. And between the two rods, at some parts in the session I was really busy. I mean, both rods were going at once. And because of that, I did lose 2 fish because the fish on the other rod that I couldn't get in on time was obviously rubbing on the shelf as the fish had picked up the feeder, and did that twice, and both times the braid broke where it was obviously rubbing on the shelf. I think I've ended up with about 14 or 15 brown trout, which is a fantastic day's fishing. Lovely bit of sport, and I did get the target species, which was the Arctic Char. Stunning fish. Just weren't more about. You know, it's just one of these things. Usually you get through the brown trout and the Arctic Char will show up, and they're usually in little shoals, and you can end up with 2 or 3, half a dozen or whatever. But yeah, really pleased I got one to show you guys on the camera as well. And as I said at the beginning, you know, such basic methods to catch what is quite a rare fish in the UK, and yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, see you next time guys on Piscator UK. Thanks very much for watching.